What's going on, everybody? It's your boy JT Knows Things, and we are back in the crypto den. Today, we're actually going to switch gears a little bit and go to the crypto classroom. All right, at my partner's place, Steve Wolterman. We are meeting every week and filming a podcast. So we're going to publish the audio version on every platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. Crypto Classroom will be there. Your boy will be explaining in long form all the fundamentals that have made me successful in the space and teaching my partner Steve along the way as to what the hell is crypto and what are we doing with it. This is the episode. I just wanted to pop right in and introduce it. It's very exciting. I hope you learn something valuable. At the bare minimum, you become a better investor today than you were yesterday. Thank you so much for your love and support, tuning in, watching this, listening to it. Whatever you do with it, may it bring you a different level of sophistication. Peace and love, guys. Until next time.
Right, JT, here we are, episode 3.
Exciting.
We're in the same clothes. That doesn't mean that we haven't not showered and changed. It just means we record a couple of these in the same day.
We got efficient with our schedules.
If anybody's worried. Episode 3, we just finished episode 2. Obviously, we're talking about what is a token. And I'm going to usurp episode 3 and kind of dig in a little further on that. There's different kinds of tokens, so I see stable coins, altcoins, meme coins. I think there's shitcoins. Tell us why there are different coins and what they mean.
So there are no different than different tokens. There are different coins. This kind of penetrates a little bit of the social layer in the crypto space. Like, it's really just us crypto weirdos giving different names to different things to throw just large segments of our industry into a bucket. That's basically what some of these words are. For example, altcoin refers to alternate coins, which are just coins that are not Bitcoin and Ethereum. There's 22,300 something cryptocurrencies or coins, of which everything would be considered an altcoin except for Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Does that mean Bitcoin and Ethereum are obviously the stable coins?
Yeah, the coin. No, they're stable coins are something different.
Oh.
Stable coins are coins that are not always, there's a few different ways that people have developed them, but their goal is to maintain a dollar value. They are tied some way, shape, or form, either algorithmically or literally to a fiat currency. So like USDC, that's stable coin, right? Tether would be a stable coin. DAI would be a stable coin.
So Bitcoin and ETH are not stable coins.
They're just coins.
Coins.
Yeah. Like I said, we're penetrating the social layer a bit.
Yeah.
It's just words we use to describe. So if you're not Bitcoin or Ether, you're an altcoin. I have a feeling that in later years, that list will expand a little bit. Personally, I think XRP will join the prime ultimate coin tier and potentially HBAR and a few other coins. But right now, everything is alt. Then you have, so that's altcoins. Then you have meme coins, which are coins that we use, meme coin. It's literally referring to Doge. I guess it started with Dogecoin, where literally it's called this because Dogecoin is a 1-to-1 copy of Bitcoin. That is called a fork. So Dogecoin is literally Bitcoin, but it has a picture of a dog as the logo instead of a bee. And instead of having an 8-page white paper describing the technology, it just has a picture of a dog. Specifically, it's a meme. It's a specific corgi meme.
So the fork is a fork in the blockchain.
Correct.
At some point, splinters off.
Yep.
We know that it's not true, real Bitcoin. It's a dog Musk. Is this the one that Musk used?
Musk launched Dogecoin. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I do know why.
Is
He
there a
said
deeper meaning of forking something in his?
he thinks it would be awesome if in the history books
Yeah.
irony wins.
Okay.
He's sentiment.
I get that.
And after, he's had X.com
Yeah.
for 30 something years. This guy holds on to things. So
Right.
I think it's just an idea that he prefers irony over, the obvious winners. So he's an underdog man.
Okay.
But yeah, it started with that and literally the white paper, which is what us analysts use to discern a good and bad network. And its architecture and a lot of very valuable information that most people should know how to interpret if they're going to make an investment decision in this space. No different than being able to read a P&L in traditional finance, right? It's a picture of a dog. It's literally a meme. There's no information there. It just says, we're a Bitcoin fork, and here's our dog. And it's worth billions of dollars. So meme coins.
That's hard. That's hard for me to grasp. I know. You have to help me there.
Well, it's no different than it's Bitcoin. So there's miners. That's the entropy into the system.
If I create a cat and I say, this is what one we fork it off of.
Literally 9,000 people have done that.
Yeah.
And that is the meme coin sector. And some of them absolutely pump. Another one would be Shiba.
Yeah.
Shiba Inu. Another one would be Pepe coin. That's a new one. It's just taken off.
But there's no intrinsic value or use or.
One would argue, if I were being devil's advocate.
Yeah.
You're right. But if I were to try to play devil's advocate here, our fund would never invest in one of these things. Mm-hmm. But attention is valuable, right? Like, we're doing this podcast for attention, eyeballs, people to listen to us and get exposure to what we have going on, who we are as people. We see those eyeballs as valuable, and not that we're going to charge you guys for listening to us, but in general, your attention does mean something to us. We assign value to your attention. Dogecoin has a lot of attention. So does Shiba Inu. So does Pepe. They have a lot of attention. They're all over Twitter. Musk is talking about putting the logo of Doge on the moon.
They don't teach you anything. Arguably, we don't either, but we're trying. They're not.
That value would be for them. We're here providing them value. No different than like issuing Doge for approving a transaction.
What, is it fair to say that meme coins, for instance, and how many have, come onto the market, as you said, they get pumped, go up in value, drop. I would have to imagine a lot of the bad rap that, crypto gets.
Yes.
Is it because of things like that? So.
Yeah, purely narrative plays.
So, okay. So.
Elon Musk does a tweet, it goes up 80%. Right? Narrative plays.
Right.
Not saying you can't speculate and make money.
So people are probably creating these, finding somebody noteworthy, famous.
Yep.
To issue a tweet and pump it.
It's very common practice in meme coins. There are paper tweets.
A little bit of the darker side of the early days of crypto and what we're seeing.
They're still here. Coinbase released their layer 2 base 3 weeks ago, and we had 3 separate meme coins pull more than 10,000%. Yeah. But then there were hundreds that did nothing, and that's just kind of the nature of it.
So as you say, you're not too interested in researching buying meme coins. I think I get that.
Yeah.
And if I understand, you've done Bitcoin, ETH, they're their own top dogs. You got stable coins, which, could be as equally as shit as a shitcoin once you come to explain that, I imagine, based on the underlying currency that they're
correct
pegged to, but at least, they are, we know what to expect. They're pegged to a currency, the altcoins, so back to altcoins and meme coins, one, is it true that an altcoin, if you're making a hierarchy of safe or predictable or, useful coins, an altcoin would be above a meme coin.
Yep. And then after a meme coin would be a shit coin.
Okay. So can you touch on the altcoin again?
So altcoin is any coin that is not Bitcoin or Ethereum. that would mean meme coins are also altcoins and shitcoins are also altcoins.
So then the difference between an altcoin and a meme coin, let's do that.
It's twofold. One, actually, it's only one fold. I was going to say it's market cap, but it really isn't because Dogecoin has it's in the top 20 largest cryptocurrencies in the market. So it's not really market cap. It's literally just what is the intent of this network. I think it's really comes down to intent. Like for example, Ripple or XRP, Ripple Labs,
Is there possibly there is an intent?
That is a meme coin. There's no intent.
Right.
I mean, none. Where like XRP, that's an altcoin, it has a very specific intent.
They have a white paper.
They have a white paper.
They have a plan.
They have a plan. This is a business. This
Probably
is
some relatively smart people have.
very smart people.
Yeah.
Like, it's backed by Bank of America.
Meme coin and make a lot of money, but yeah.
Right, and most of the time, like really good projects, I personally have found a correlation. This is just some tips to people out there maybe navigating the space a little bit. If there is bullish news about an asset and the price doesn't move for an extended period of time, it is more likely that that is a legitimate network because businesses don't grow like that, right?
Right.
Like if something just partnered with X and the price 1000% in, I think you have a higher probability that that article was fake and people just pumped into it. Where if something you've really never heard of before starts making moves and starts doing partnerships and everything else, and the price doesn't reflect this activity for months at a time, that is a more stable, fundamental, foundational base for that asset engine. I've noticed a correlation between that. If, for example, the speed of reaction to price, if Elon tweets Doge, price is up next day or same day. Where just recently Hedera gets named as the CBDC's sole choice for its interbank communication network.
CBDC.
Central bank digital currency. That is something different than any of these other coins. That could be a whole nother episode. But, the price barely moved. And Hedera is the fastest decentralized network that exists today. It's the cheapest. With the reason why they chose Hedera is because you can send a penny. I can literally send someone a penny and it costs me nothing. So micro transactions down to the penny with no additional fee. No other blockchain can do that. It costs anywhere from $3 to $30 to send something on Ethereum, regardless of the amount, because of gas. So altcoins, everything else other than Bitcoin and ETH. Meme coins go back to the intent here. Why does this network exist? What does it do? And if the answer is nothing, it's a meme coin. Shit coins are the same thing, but just a much smaller market cap. It'd be like a shit coin could evolve into a meme coin. Both are altcoins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
so what kind of market cap are we talking then?
Probably less than 50 million.
Yeah.
I would call shit coins the equivalent in traditional finance be penny stocks.
Yeah.
Maybe 100 million market cap or less. You don't break into meme coin honorary status. If you have no intent and you're trading under 100 million, you're a shit coin. Now, if you have intent and you're under 100 million, that would be an altcoin.
So you can have a small.
You can have a small, and ideally you find a really good project that is an altcoin in that market capitalization because you could.
Because they could have a great plan, a great technology, solve some problems.
At one point, Bitcoin was an altcoin by today's traditional definition of altcoin.
Well, they must all start there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, that's why I said I think we're penetrating the social layer a little bit with these names.
Yeah, I get that.
Eventually, I think there will be more than just Bitcoin and ETH as the ultimate coins.
Sure.
Even this idea of labeling coins is very old in its understanding of blockchain technology. Like people that are at the place where I'm at in my research and studies, like it's absurd to even think that these 22 something thousand coins, tokens, projects are competing to be a coin. Very few of them are trying to be.
So in the 22,000, many of those are altcoins, meme coins, shit coins.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we kind of touched on it a little bit. Stable coins they if you buy Tether, you are trying to just keep your money on chain but stagnant.
Why would one do that? So Tether is staked to what?
Tether is different than USDC. There's a few different ways that stable coins keep the same value. Which, for everyone listening, we're talking about America just because that's where we're at. And it makes it simple to
To be
understand.
clear, we're saying, as the dollar goes, Tether goes.
Yeah. So
One for one.
that's USDC. So like, let's say there's 10 billion USDC in circulation.
So let's start with that. Why would one want to just take a digital form?
So let's say you just went through a bunch of hassles through traditional finance to get money on chain. Because I mean, we've dealt with that with the fund, right? Like, you have money, then you got to get into a bank account, and then you got to get that money from the bank on chain somehow, right? When you move your money on chain, do you want to take the potential risk that in the short term that money goes down in value?
No.
Right. So if I have 10,000 in a bank and I want to move 10,000 on chain because I intend to buy, maybe I intend to put 5 purchases.
The dollar could go down.
It could, but you're not seeing that on your screen.
This isn't like other,
Inflation's
changing from currency to other currencies. Traditionally, you're subject to. Right.
True, that is true. In this scenario, you're basically just exchanging US dollar equivalent. So when you buy USDC, they are literally taking your 10,000 US dollars you wired, they are putting it into a bank and doing something with it. But you're getting 10,000 USDC back, which are instantly redeemable for the equivalent of those dollars. Right? So if I put 10,000 in, I get 10,000 USDC, no cost to me. And then if I go buy $8,000 of Bitcoin, I have $2,000 left in USDC. I can redeem my last
So,
two.
I mean, I only really at the moment individually use Coinbase.
Mhm.
Are they, when I link a bank account and send money to it, is that getting converted to USDC or?
It depends. If you you can exchange your US dollar from your bank for a token directly in Coinbase. If you wanted to put a set amount of dollars on chain, you could buy USDC, but they also have, no different than like your TD Ameritrade, they have the ability to just store a dollar amount, a cash account on Coinbase, and you can exchange it.
Okay.
But that's called bringing your money on chain. Like, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. Stable coins allow for you to not run any short-term risk of depreciating assets, right? You put 10 in, Bitcoin drops, let's say you just put it in Bitcoin. You bought Bitcoin instead of USDC. 10 in, you'll probably have 992 left because of the fees, right? And then let's say the next day you want to go buy something else. It's now down to 97.
So if you did that last week, you would be
right.
A little frustrated. Yeah.
But if you bought Tether or USDC or DAI or all these, any of those stable coins, if you bought a stable coin, you're not worried about it because it does not move.
Unless the currency is bet to.
Gets tested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which would be.
Which happening.
Which happens, but it does slower than right now the world of crypto.
You would still have the same amount of tokens though.
Yeah.
Right. You would have 10,000. Just when you redeem your state nation currency using those tokens, it could be worth less in your real world when you're walking around. But you're still going to have a one-to-one relationship between tokens issued and fiat deposited.
Okay.
So that's stablecoin, altcoin, meme coin, and shitcoin. We have, and I'll just do like a little bonus edition here. We're going to talk about, it's wrapping in the last episode a little bit with token, but we also just have governance tokens. They are not always going to accrue value. So like, you have all these things on the market and we're all investing to try to make money. But sometimes networks need, if they're truly decentralized, they need a way
to be operated anonymously, trustlessly, no trust. That's through, this could be a whole other episode, but that is through a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. And to participate in a DAO, you need a certain percentage of governance tokens, basically to cast a vote. The equivalent of this would be like a private share in a company, right? There's public shares of a company, then there's private shares. Public shares can't vote, are allowed to vote, but it's not a big deal. Where private shares are like board of directors, they make the decisions day to day. They hire the CEO, they do all this stuff. Governance tokens are like private shares for a network. And the more governance tokens you own, the more influence you have on that network. The governance tokens store value because that's your incentive to be a good actor in the DAO. Like, for example, Ether is a governance token, but it's also the token used for exchanging value on Ethereum. That's not always the case. But in Ether, it is. I cannot even get into the Ether DAO Discord without having 32 ETH. I can't stake ETH without 32 ETH. Basically, 32 Ether is the threshold to influence that network at all.
And has that been the number since the get-go? Or is that changed by the governance?
It's been reduced. It's been reduced by our technology. The initial was 1,000 Ether. That's how much you needed to stake. But what you need to stake has been reduced over time based on our hardware getting better, essentially.
Back to ETH, I'm holding myself to stopping you if you use a word that I either didn't know in the beginning of all of this, or sometimes
that's a good
gas.
Gas.
Yeah, just hit on that again, because we were talking and somebody had to pay gas. We were, I think, talking about being able to send a penny for zero cost, whereas to send an ETH, it's going to cost at least $30 because you got to pay the gas. So I know we're jumping around here, but I forgot.
No, that's great. It goes into governance tokens. Yeah, it goes into governance tokens as well, and stablecoins. Stablecoins typically don't have gas. It depends on the stablecoin, but
what is gas?
Gas, no different than your vehicle, is fuel for a network. A network that exchanges value cannot work without having value on it, right? Very simply put. When I'm exchanging value on a network, I need to pay someone to confirm it's a credible transaction, basically. Like, if I don't have, for Bitcoin's example, if I don't have miners plugged into the wall being rewarded in Bitcoin, why would they go out and buy that hardware and all the cooling fans and plug it in? Because they want that Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That would be the equivalent of gas on Bitcoin. In Ethereum, this is getting into a little bit more technical of a spot. They are a proof of stake network. So you don't need hardware exactly plugged into a wall at the scale of which Bitcoin does. Validators are smaller pieces of hardware that could be done like on a laptop or something much easier. And it's a way that they find consensus that's a lot cheaper than proof of work, which is what Bitcoin would be. We're referring to consensus. If you go back to episode 1.
Yeah, we talked about this as kind of a fundamental difference of, right.
Yeah. So proof of stake versus proof of work, right. Just a different way of reaching consensus anonymously, trustlessly.
So the gas pays the people that are reaching consensus.
Correct. It's also in part buying the storage. You have to remember those blocks, they're only open for a certain period of time and then they're stored. So you're paying storage, you're paying processing, you're paying the computer, which is Ethereum, for all of the stuff it did.
Does the gas go up as the dollar amount of the transaction goes up?
No, it actually.
So it's still, we're talking way different, much more efficient, perhaps, than a middleman or a fee that you might pay in other financial transactions. Based on.
The cool thing is that
dollar amounts.
It changes based on congestion. So if this block is slight, it's busy. I'm transaction number 888 in a 15-second window. Like, I'm screwed. My gas, if I want to go, basically, you can order a block. Your position in the queue in that block can be moved up if you pay more gas. In general, if we're all competing for this block in real time, right? Because this is like a real computer, real time. If we're all competing, us being the users in this block, gas is going to be more expensive. If you were to go to etherscan.io right now, you would see the real time price of gas based on the congestion of the network. If it's all the way to the right, that's one of, I think it's 168 Guai. Yeah, it's outrageous. You're going to pay, I think, 50, $60 no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
If it's all the way to the left, like 3 Guai, and that's just the unit we use to measure gas. Don't get caught up in it. If it's all the way down there, it's going to be cheap. It's going to be like maybe $3. Regardless, if I sent $1 million, $1 billion, $3. If I sent $100, $50 on a bad day. And that has improved over time. Like when I first got into crypto, I would pay $100 to $200 in gas some days, like for a transaction. Like awful. If it was real busy, especially during a bull run. Like it's a lot different in a bull run.
Yeah.
You have 10 times the amount of transactions on Ethereum.
Interesting. So, of all the, back to all the, we're talking about 22,000 coins, and
Yeah.
I guess this would be like altcoins. Of those are most of these, consensus? Are they approved by consensus now?
Yeah.
Versus Bitcoin, or are a lot of these still proof of stake?
So, of all every single crypto project asset token, they all need a method to reach consensus, or else it would not be a blockchain. So they all have a consensus method. There are, I'd have to, I'm kind of shooting from the hip. I would say maybe 5 to 10% are proof of work. Bitcoin started as proof of work, so was Ethereum. You have a bunch of forks off of Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin as an example, Shiba Inu, that's a fork of Ethereum, that's proof of stake. Proof of stake and proof of work, I would say, is probably the top third of the space. And then you have newer innovations of reaching consensus that are faster, better, etc. That is just the natural order of computer science. And the really exciting thing about Ethereum, the Ethereum Foundation specifically, is they've transitioned to proof of stake. Like they realized after the developments of Solana, and they saw how powerful proof of stake was, how fast their transactions per second were, how secure it was, how fewer, I guess, capital injections were needed to participate and support Solana, right? All these things, like they decided that we're going to figure out how to become proof of stake, and they did. Like it took them 10 months to spin up the Beacon chain, but now they changed.
Probably no small feat.
It is probably the most profound thing to ever occur in computer science to date. Maybe except for AI. Like the fact that 10,000 random people were able to change an entire global computer that they all independently run and change basically every line of code of how that computer works and have a release go well. Like companies can't even get a release together, and they have one CEO, and what I mean?
Right.
Like the fact that this went without a hitch is incredible. Like it really is a really cool thing that's occurred. Some of the honorable mentions that are still being fleshed out are different variations of proof of stake. There's this thing called pure proof of stake, delegated proof of stake. You then have DAG. You have hash graph. You have a continuous consensus model, and that's the majority of them. I would say the last 60 to 70, probably the last 60% are all playing with different forms of proof of stake, DAG, or consensus models in general. The biggest projects to watch for those different consensus methods would be like Hedera for hash graph, Avalanche for a continuous consensus model. If you want to look this stuff up, they're very large altcoins and projects. A good pure proof of stake would be like Near Protocol or Algorand. Um, and then a good DAG could be XDC. That's a good network. But overall, all these projects, they need gas to get a consensus, and that's what gas is. And it's just a different method of how these computers are reaching consensus. Is all I've been just talking about. But it's the same function, the same problem. So, but yeah, I think that's all of the coins that I'm aware of today.
Any final thoughts? Wisdom to impart?
The kind of person you may be as an investor, some just personalities to assign to these buckets. Like if you're interested in stable coins, you're probably a government officer or someone that's interested in liquidity, and you're interested in the the basics of money moving between like central banks, different entities. If you're interested in altcoins, you probably feel like Bitcoin and Ethereum have ran out of room to grow and you want to get bigger returns because their market caps are significantly smaller and they could appreciate much, to higher figures. So you get a bigger multiple of returns over time. If you love meme coins, you are someone that is just you're the guy that goes to Vegas every quarter. You're just rolling the dice. And if you like shitcoins, you're the guy that needs to go to a gambling anonymous. Like it just gets worse.
Yeah.
Like if you're there thinking I'm just going to throw $10 on 100 shitcoins and I might make $1,000, like you got a problem.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to me, Steve, Bleeding Edge Capital, anyone on our team, like we are going to just always stick to larger projects. In general, the average market cap of an asset is 22 billion. We're very conservative and we are again discretionarily long. So we have longer time horizons of how this technology will lock more value and become more valuable to the world at large. So if you're listening to us, you're probably none of the latter. You're probably interested in very exciting altcoins to increase your returns over a longer time horizon. Again, this is not financial advice, but if you resonate with that bottom half, you might want to try a different podcast. I'm not going to be that exciting for you. I'm going to be pretty boring otherwise.
I have a vision of going home in the closet and getting buried in shitcoins.
Yeah. There are some people like that. I think about one of our friends, Brayson, like that meme he sent, right? It's like one week, guy shows up in a Lamborghini with a gold chain on, talk about how awesome he is. I just made all this money in crypto. Next week, he's homeless on the park bench with like a wife beater and a cigarette. He's like, I need money for the bus. It's like, it is that dramatic. Shitcoins can go from $1 to $1,000 down to negative $10 inside of 12 hours. Like it's a wild space, but exciting nonetheless.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you. I think that wraps up episode number 3.
Thank you, everybody. Until next time.
It's your boy JT Knows Things, and I'm back to give you those sexy disclaimers. Everything in this cast cannot be interpreted as financial advice, legal advice, accounting advice, and pretty much any other advice that you may or may not be gleaning from the episode. We are simply documenting all of our research for an educational purpose only. We thank you so much for tuning in and your support. And until next time, see ya.